Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Fitness Education Online podcast. I am super excited because I've got two guests this week, and they do something really, really cool and different to what most of the guests on here do. So I'll give them a quick introduction, but then I'll let them tell us a little bit more about what they do. It's Dylan and Nate from KOPD. In a nutshell, they run fitness programs to help people with Parkinson's. And those programs are actually mainly revolved around boxing and martial arts, a lot of other stuff as well. I'll hand it over to the guys and they'll explain a little bit more over it. But off the bat, how are you two guys going?
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
How are you guys going?
Yes, I'm awesome. Let's give us a quick introduction each. Dylan, let us know in a minute or two. You specific. Oh, yeah. Let's say you specifically. What do you specifically do at the business? And then Nate, what do you specifically do at the business? And then we'll talk about what the business actually does.
Perfect. So my name's Dylan Resnekov. So I'm one of the co-owners of VT1 Martial Arts in Chatswood. We're a martial arts facility for kids and adults, etc. We created KOPD, I suppose, about 6-7 years ago, because we had someone with Parkinson's called Adrian Unger. So you hear his name pop up a lot. And Adrian Unger has been boxing for a long time, and we noticed his symptoms weren't really getting worse. So we heard about things around the world in America, etc., and we created our own program. And straight off the bat, we had 40 students, which is fantastic. But we'll go into a bit more detail about that later. So my main part is I'm running the programs in the back end, and I was running classes. But we've got a bit more of a team now that have a bit more, I suppose, education with regards to specific like strength conditioning, gait, which he'll talk about. But my main goal is I'm one of the creators of the program, along with my brother Liam Resnekov and Adrian Unger, who has Parkinson's. And yeah, that's my main part, is just kind of building the program in the back end and now expanding it around Australia, which we've been doing for the past couple of years as well.
Awesome.
But we'll elaborate on those other points as we go. It's a lot of information, but I'll give you over to Nate.
Sure. Awesome. And Nate, what is it you do?
Sure, I'm an exercise physiologist and an exercise scientist. I've been practicing for just over half a decade now, doing a lot of work in the clinical space, did a few years in a hospital, did a few years in private practice, and ended up partnering with these guys at KOPD at the end of 2018, because I was always trained in boxing and Muay Thai and a lot of martial arts, and I started using boxing within a hospital setting, actually, with older patients. And what I found was I could improve balance, cognition, coordination, strength, and just overall engagement with these patients. They actually enjoyed turning up to therapy, and they got better as they did it. And I just went, wow, this is amazing. Like, instead of just doing your standard kind of boring, okay, we're just going to march on the spot or do sit to stand, suddenly we're hitting pads and we're moving around using good footwork and good technique. So I got a really good response. And then I got in touch with Dylan and Adrian, and they just said, hey, listen, like, we know you've been doing martial arts at our gym, and we know you're an exercise physio. Do you want to come check out this program? And I went and checked out KOPD and loved it straight away, because it was exactly what I'd been seeing in the hospital with boxing. And so I partnered with them, and right now I'm helping to coach and run the back end of the program as well. So Dylan and I partnered in that, just trying to push KOPD forward and impact as many lives as we can.
So we needed a bit more of that. I mean, we've had sports physicians in the past, physios. We've got a speech pathologist with us as well. He's actually one of my main trainers here. So we're trying to get different aspects. But I think now we've actually, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, we've expanded the program a bit from not just boxing. We've actually gone more into scientific things. And Nate will talk a little bit later about the results we got, which when I found out, I was pretty shocked, because there isn't a huge amount of studies on, well, there is, but it's not with huge numbers on boxing for Parkinson's. And when he talks about the results later, it's fantastic. Like, it's incredible to actually hear it from it's not just subjective, it's actually seeing proper figures as well. So I mean, just with so basically, like, with the program, I think something that we realized when we started off, we did have sports, different people with different education levels on it, but the main guys that ran it was Chris, who's down in Tasmania now. He's got his own gym. Myself, my brother, we've got Dev, who's downstairs at the moment teaching, and Jordan as well. And the main thing we wanted to make sure is one, people were safe. Because, you know, people hear, oh, boxing for Parkinson's, doesn't that cause Parkinson's? And we're like, no, that's not true. But we want to make sure it's safe and it's fun. And the main thing we realized, like the proper ingredients to the program was not just about just teaching them basic boxing. One, we had to create a new boxing system, okay, which we just call a KOPD boxing system. For example, you can't get them doing slips. So if people are not slipping, it's where you're moving your head out of the way, okay? So now, I don't know, it's hard for me to explain, but normally have one foot in front of the other. And if they slip, let's say to the right under circumstance, there's a void. There's no leg here. We don't have three legs. And they were falling straight over.
They'll actually slip, right? If they do a slip,
they can't
they'll
slip,
actually
fall straight in their face. Yeah. So, I mean, it was very rare. So we did change the boxing system a little bit. So we included a bit more step slipping, different methods around that. Punching, we made sure that we had like pinky up, so they did full rotation, because as we know with Parkinson's, it's the shrinking disease. So we had to make them extend, and the only way we could make them extend was turn that baby finger up. So as you can see, I can't even turn my baby finger up holding it, you know, tight. So we created systems that made them bigger and they could stretch the arms out. And the main ingredients, I suppose, of the program wasn't just about like, hey, we're going to teach you boxing, because to be honest with you, one, some of them do have dementia or other issues with Parkinson. It's not a lot of them here do, but they do. So we had to make sure it was simple. We had to make sure it was fun. We brought the inner kid out of them. So there's a lot of laughing, mostly laughing at the coaches because we just say silly things. And we created community. And then what we realized with this particular program, besides all the effort we put in and the science and experience, and I mean, I was born into a martial arts family with my brother and myself, both my brother and I were, sorry. And my parents were running huge karate school, 600 people over here in Tarahumara. So I was born into like martial arts families. We've been running this almost for 20 years, 20 years now. We've been running this for, my brother and my two, 4 stories up, or 2 up, 2 down. And we realized the most important thing was actually from what we had at our gym here, VT1 Martial Arts, and that was community. So, you know, Nate organizes like coffee. We go for coffee after. We've got another guy organizing dinner. We have Christmas. So we make, you know, we have like a Christmas party. We have Easter. Everyone's got Easter bunnies. Halloween, they've all got to dress up. And the thing with people with Parkinson's is that they often find, oh, I've got Parkinson's. I can't do this. I can't. That constant, I can't. And we hear that a lot.
Come up with excuses, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, I got Parkinson's. I can't do boxing. And we're like, well, actually you can. We've got people in wheelchairs doing it. So we created that you can, and being around people who have got Parkinson's. And there's stuff out there, you know, there's dancing for Parkinson's and this for Parkinson's, and it's great. Anything's good for them to get out and socialize and not isolate themselves. But this is like a lot of fun. When they get boxing, they're laughing and we're moving. And I watched him. Did you do was that yesterday? You did a obstacle course?
Yeah.
I check my cameras sometimes to check who's here. I've got deliveries. This guy filled the whole downstairs. It must take him ages. So we really make sure that we have a lot of fun. Sorry, we just got a little guest come in. So we do make sure that we like have a lot of fun with the program. We do make sure that we keep it boxing, so they feel like they're real boxers. We call them boxers. They call us trainers. And we teach them new things all the time. But the most important is we use things like we get their voice activated as well, which he'll get more into that. We're activating the voice through games. So a lot of it's game. We're really bringing out the inner child in themselves. And I think that's the most important. They come here, they feel like a kid, they're running around. Look, you got to understand, we treat them with respect. Because I mean, we have got some young ones, but they're all like 50, 60, 70, 80, getting higher. So we respect them, you know, but we do a little bit of like back talking, etc., but in a respectful way, and we get to know them as well. So I think for that, they really enjoy coming in and doing that as well. We make them wrap their hands. They come here, they wrap their hands to prepare. We do proper warm-ups. We do drills. I mean, it's really non-contact. There's no actual sparring. There's no like, I'm throwing a punch and you bob and weave. Most of it is pads or bags or heavy bag, because it is hard for them to actually learn pads. We've learned that over the years. But yeah, the main ingredients, to not go on too much, is just to make sure they have fun. And we have to plan far in advance. Our classes are very well planned and structured, but not everything goes right all the time. You get a group that's cold and suddenly maybe some of them didn't take their pills properly, or they're having a bad day, which you'll find out with people. There's a little bit more education with Parkinson's you need to learn. Having a bad day and the class plan doesn't go according to plan, so you have to change it, and you've got to be very quick on your feet. So that's kind of the main ingredients, I think, to KOPD that we realize is that community, having fun, bringing the inner child out, treating them with respect, but also make them feel like, you know, they've got someone to talk to and not being so isolated. And we really created a big community. Unfortunately, the biggest problem was during COVID, we dropped right off. That was, I mean, for every gym, it was tough, right? But they would not come in.
Yeah.
I think you ran some Zoom classes, etc., but they would not come in to the gym for a while. Yeah. So we've actually almost had to start again, and it's picked right back up now. And I'll give you over to Nate, and he'll talk about what he has he's added 1 or 2 programs, which we've really seen great results from. And he could tell you a little bit about his results as well. I'll just talk your ears off. Over to Nate, Dog.
Just getting so we're just going to, so with the program, what we're doing was, when I first started with the program, I saw that everyone was having a lot of fun. They were engaging with boxing more than any other place that I've seen. That's what drew me to KOPD in the first place. Because a lot of—
Can I just say before he's drawing, he's been a student here for a long time. So he's saying he made it out like he came here. He's been here. I mean, he's been here
6 years.
6 years, yes. So he's actually a long-term student.
You were a martial arts student, Nate? Is that right?
Yeah, that's Muay Thai. It's good, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So when I joined up with KOPD, the first thing I noticed was just how much fun everyone was having. And it was weird because I'd come from this clinical background where it was very sterile in a hospital, and the programs were just that. Look, I'm not going to denigrate them at all. They were effective, they were science-based, but they were just sterile.
Boring. Boring, the word you're looking for?
That might be a good word to describe.
Let's go boring.
Yeah, look, ultimately people did get bored. Like, you're absolutely correct. People did get bored. They didn't engage. They didn't have fun. They just come in and they just go through the motions and leave. Whereas when I came to KOPD, as I said, people were engaged. But I think the one thing that I was really curious about was, hey, it's all well and good that they're having fun, but does this stuff actually work? Is it actually helping them? And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to do what I usually do and run a whole bunch of clinical tests. So I picked 4 clinical tests that I was going to run, and those are clinical tests used for Parkinson's all around the world.
What are these tests, Nate? Can I ask what these tests are?
Sure. So the first test was a 10-meter walk test.
We'll share it with you, but it's on a different computer. So.
So the first test is called a 10-meter walk test. It just gives you an idea of their walking patterns and how confident they are, their walking speed as well. The second test was a grip strength, so a hand grip dynamometer, to give me an estimation of their upper body strength. The third test was a sit to stand 30-second test. So I'm sure a lot of your listeners probably know what that is. Good kind of functional measure for your lower leg strength and stamina, particularly for older aged populations. And the fourth test was what we call a PDQ 39, which is a questionnaire with 39 questions specific to Parkinson's, which measures their activities of daily living.
And they fill that out, right?
Yeah, so they'll fill that out with their carers or with me. And it measures their quality of life, activities of daily living, and even how they perceive the disease themselves, like how they perceive how they're going. And so I ran those 4 tests and then ran them again 12 weeks later. And the results just blew me away. As I was plugging it into the computer, I was in shock, because with Parkinson's, what we usually tend to expect, because it's a neurodegenerative disease, is a decline. So over time, we expect a decline in function, we expect a decline in quality of life and your ability to do anything. And so a good result with anything with Parkinson's is a reduction in that decline, so a slowing down of that decline, or a plateau, so it doesn't change at all. But what we were seeing in all these tests were actually improvements of 10, 20, 30, 40, even 60% on each test. It was unbelievable.
Did you see that in your hospital work at all, Nate?
We saw a little bit, but nowhere near to the degree that I saw here. I saw little bits and pieces where we'd see maybe 5% improvement, 10% improvement, but nothing like what we saw in the tests at KOPD. So to give you a quick kind of rundown, what we ended up finding was in the 10-meter walk test, we were finding an average improvement of about 20% overall.
And like Nate said, we don't really expect it even to go up.
Yeah,
even to hold, it's good.
I was expecting a slight decline or a plateau. So to see 20% improvement was huge. In the sit to stand 30-second test, in one group, I saw an improvement of 59%, which was unbelievable.
So is that one person or the group improved?
No, that's a group average.
Wow.
That's a group average. Yeah. And in the other group, which is a group that's slightly later stage Parkinson's, I still saw an improvement of 27.3%. So that was huge, especially for later stage Parkinson's. So if you've read the research, you'll know that in later stage Parkinson's, we don't actually tend to see any improvements. So to see anything like that was incredible. The one test that went down was the grip strength. So in the higher functioning group, we dropped by about 7.8%. And in the lower functioning group, we dropped by about 11.5%. So a slight decline, not huge. But the biggest difference that I really want to bring up is the PDQ-39, that questionnaire that I talked about. So in this questionnaire, the higher the score is, it usually indicates a worse outcome. So it means that the person's Parkinson's is worsening. So the lower the score, the better. In one group, in the high functioning group, after 12 weeks, that score went down by 58.1% on average.
Wow.
And in the lower functioning group, we saw it drop by 48.3% on average.
It's 40 questions.
It was 39 questions. Yeah, 40 questions.
Why did they not just make that 40? How did they come up with 39?
But it was unbelievable. Like I was plugging in this data, just going, look, this doesn't make sense. Like this is not what I'd expect. Now I'm going to make it really clear. This is by no means a scientific study. So there's no control groups. It's not going under that same process. But what it did show me was, hey, what we're doing is actually working, and I'm seeing it in the data. I'm actually seeing it in hard data, not just people saying, "Yeah, I had fun today."
Yeah.
And that was huge.
I think in the past it's hard because they had their good days and their bad days. And don't get me wrong, I'll be straight up with you that we've had some of these guys pass away over the years as well. They do decline. Most of them that did pass away were very they couldn't even talk when they came in. Yep. So at least they had something. We had them 2-3 times a week. They had something to do, and they still did the boxing. But they were late stages. So I'm just going to make sure my phones aren't ringing off. So they were the late stages. So it's really good to bring someone like Nate on board. He's really helped bring a bit more of that science to it. And we have had guys in the past that have helped, but he's really dedicated, Nate. And also it's attracting a lot more of the physios and sports physiologists as well, not just PTs. Now, the thing is, for this program, when we've had, because of COVID, things have gone up and down, and people are some of the gyms I know closed down over COVID. We were very lucky that we found ways to keep this place, interactive. So we've had over 100 people do the affiliation course. That's more that they've done the trainers course. It was 2 days.
Let's go back a step here just to explain to the trainers. So what we've been talking about so far is your actual HQ, right? So Dylan and Nate, they've got a bit.
That's in Chatswood.
In Chatswood, yep. And that's where Parkinson's patients go. They've got 4 or 5 trainers. How many trainers have you got at HQ that run those classes?
There's a variety of us. There's about 3 to 4 of us. But keep in mind that, and we won't go into specifics, but the people that are level 4s, that are basically in wheelchairs, or level 3s that need helpers, they actually bring assistants with us. Yeah. So there's different levels. Level 1 is mostly what we run here, which is people very capable. They don't need any help. Level 2 is kind of a little bit slower than 1. Level 3, they need an assistant to either hang on to them, like normally a carer. So we have mostly 1s here. So it depends on the class, which class it is. We need more trainers.
Gotcha. So that's what we've been speaking about so far. There's a gym, people with Parkinson's go in. Yeah, they've got the trainers here. But what KOPD have done is, I don't know, franchises is the word. But let's maybe start with the courses. Let's say if there's a trainer listening to this and they're like, wow, this stuff is cool. I want to learn more about this. Or on this program here. What's step 1? You've got a course for trainers or how does that work?
Yeah. So, the main thing is with this particular KOPD, we don't franchise it. We have to have very strict controls over it because you're dealing with special population. So we do have courses, and there are different levels. So in terms of, you don't have to do the course and be like, oh, I'm going to open a KOPD school. It doesn't quite work like that. There's different people who can do the course. It just depends how far they want to take it. We don't normally hard sell this because it is a special population. And the main reason most people actually want to do it is add something, or they've already got people with Parkinson's that they're training. So they want more stuff to do with them, not just, you can't just do the same thing you do with a 25-year-old, guy that wants to cross train for soccer. No way would be doing cross training for soccer, but anyway. So that's like just the normal personal trainers want to do it. Probably majority of them people have done it. The course are just personal trainers that want to get a bit more into it. Yeah. Other ones are gym owners that want to add a program to their school. Yeah. So for example, to give you an idea, we run fundraisers for KOPD, more for like for organizations that research Parkinson's. Like it's not actually specifically for KOPD, we don't get funds. And they want to actually add a program to their gym. And why would they want to do that? Well, it creates a community. We get a lot of our students come help them, or we try to get our students come help for free, just hands-on extra work. It gives the gym something to work towards with a charity, not just a random charity. It's a charity they can actually see people who have Parkinson's. And I think all gyms should give it back. So there's personal trainers, there's the gyms that want to add a small program, like most classes are like 8 to 15 people. They're not huge classes. And then we've got physios. So we've actually done a lot of physios have done it as well, just because they wanted to add something to their physio routine with their existing clients, or add Parkinson's specific classes. So they're people that haven't really done much boxing before. And the last one is people that already have existing Parkinson's programs. They actually wanted to get a bit more recognition and actually have a team behind them. So we've got a community. I won't go into specific numbers. We've got about 10 affiliates still active. Some of them smaller than others. It's more about just giving back some of their programs. Some of them have got 10, 15, 20, 50 clients. So those people already that are existing, we're a bit of a community. So we talk on a forum. We discuss class plans. We discuss different ideas. Hey, check what we're doing. This is what we're doing for Halloween. Make sure you guys keep your community. So the existing is ready. So you don't have to have specific qualifications to teach people with Parkinson's, but we've done this for a long time now, over 6 years now, I think. And you can go on, like, I'm not going to plug it, but you can go on Sunrise and type it. We used to be Punch-In Parkos. So punching without the G, Parkos. We actually stopped that name because one, it was too hard to find. Okay. Two, we had a little bit of a political issue with an organization I'm not going to mention that we no longer associate with. Okay. They decided to try hijack our one, which is disgusting, being a huge New South Wales organization. So we've moved on from them. So we changed the name to KOPD. Now, I don't know if you know, like, it looks like LAPD. Oh, have you got yours on?
I'll try to do this without flashing everyone. Hey.
So KOPD.
There we go.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, the old T-shirts people used to work around, like LAPD. I thought it was like KOPD, knock out Parkinson disease. Just sounded cool, guys. So we moved towards KOPD, and there's lots you can see online if you type in Punch-In Parkos boxing on ABC, Sunrise. We've done many videos over the years that have been active, and you can actually see how much fun they're having from those videos. So without talking too much, we do have trainers courses. The trainers courses are designed for personal trainers. They're designed for physios. They're designed for gyms. We've had a couple of gyms to send 2 trainers over. They're just boxing trainers or the kickboxing trainers. Some of them are jiu-jitsu trainers. They're not even like specifically boxing. And then we've got physios that we're working with at the moment. We had a lot of physios do our course up in Brisbane. We've done a couple of courses up there now. And yeah, we've got physios, which he's talking more to at the moment. So a variety of people. There's no like set type of person can come do the course, because to learn, you can become KPD qualified in terms of you've done the course. There's a lot. It's a big course. In fact, we had to put half it online. It's so big.
How does it work, Dylan? So it's half face-to-face, half online, is it?
Yeah, look, so we used to do 2 days. I'll be totally honest with you. 2 days is really tough for people. Most of our KPD groups or people who've done the trainers course have been interstate. We've actually got more interstate than Sydney, which is disappointing because for people to come to Chatswood and Sydney, as you know, where are you based?
I'm in Brighton, Los Angeles.
Okay, for you to get from there to Chatswood it's not a big drive. but it's impossible for traffic. So it's really tricky, especially Chatswood area. It's crazy. So normally it was a 2-day course. We've cut that down to a 1-day course, and we put as much as we can online. I mean, we have over 100 videos. We just found it was a bit much for them 2 days. There's a lot of information we've got to cover. A lot. You can't just go, hey, this is how you box, teach people boxers, go do it. It doesn't quite work like that. So we didn't want to reduce the material, but we did try to bring online. Now, if you haven't noticed, just by watching this video, I have extreme ADHD. I have dyslexia. I have many attention problems. And that's probably why I was successful in my Muay Thai career and running a gym and being a coach, because I like to be interactive. So we do make it it's not a boring course. It's very interactive, extremely high energy. And I think that really shows what was the success of the program as well, is trying to make it really high energy and stop these guys coming in and get them out of their house, really. So 1-day course, and we do most of it online before and after as well. You don't have to have any boxing experience. And we found that people are like, oh, I've already got boxing experience. Well, actually, we cover boxing, but it's not the same boxing you teach your 25-year-old soccer player. I don't even know any soccer players. Soccer player that's cross training. I know. Better stop the soccer. I don't play soccer. That's fine. Soccer player that better stop it. That trains with us. It's a total different demographic you're dealing with, and it's very specific. And all the little pieces of the course kind of work together. You can't just do half the course, because you are dealing, like, if they don't know what gait is or freezing is with people with Parkinson's, you probably want to go Google that. If you don't know much about Parkinson's, you're in a lot of trouble. People literally stop on the spot. And there's methods we do to get them continue walking, like their feet get stuck in the ground. Yeah, sometimes they fall, sometimes they don't. So the course covers a lot of material. We brought on a lot more scientific material as well. We bring on a speech pathologist, because a big part of the course is speech, like getting them shouting. I don't know if you know, they lose their speech slowly and the muscles are in the throat. So we have to keep the speech. Yeah, so we got speech. There's a lot of different aspects of the course. It's not just about Googling and going and doing it. So 1-day course was enough for us. Very interactive. We normally run it at here because we've got so many levels here. And we normally have a mock. We bring in about 15 of them, and they actually run a class with us. So they get to meet people with Parkinson's. And from there, we kind of have the option of, okay, look, if you want to go into becoming a part of the KOPD team, we normally have a process, because we don't just take people on and straight away. We help them build it, etc. So it is a really, look, I'll be totally honest with you. You're not going to be a millionaire from running KOPD on the side, because you've got to understand where you are. You probably actually have got a lot of people around there. There's probably, maybe 300-400 people at Parkinson's. To get hold of them is a whole different story. But we have
in Sydney, or
Sydney, there's
right on the stands, you're saying 300 people.
There's thousands. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big population here. We go to like the Parkinson's meets and charity days, and they're huge, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Do you have a specific number of Parkinson's? It keeps changing.
Well, I mean, look, at the moment, Parkinson's is increasing in prevalence, just because we are an aging population. So everyone's getting a bit older. And so Parkinson's, like the incidence of Parkinson's is going up every single year. So at the moment, it's like 1 in 100 over the age of 60 being diagnosed with Parkinson's. And that might not seem like much, but when you're extrapolating that over big numbers, you're getting a lot of people who are getting diagnosed with Parkinson's year to year. And it's just such a debilitating disease as well. And so there are a lot of people out there with Parkinson's who don't know what to do, who don't know what they can do to start almost treating their Parkinson's besides taking their medication. And it can get really isolating and hopeless, and that's kind of where we're kind of sitting in. Just to build on that. You go. I was just going to say, just to build on what Dylan was saying about the courses that we're running. So at the moment, we're in the process of actually revamping everything to reset up this course, add a little bit more of that background of the science background, because we want to try and get accredited to get CEC points with Fitness Australia and like Exercise and Sports Science Australia and Physiotherapy Australia. Like we want to try and make sure that people can actually get CPD points by coming to the courses.
And that's in like, we've already done one group, but we're just doing all three in one go.
Yeah.
So that will be a part of, because I think a lot of personal trainers want to get those points. If they're going to come to a full day course.
Yeah. It's like,
they want to do it. And we'll get those.
You get the CCs, but it also adds that legitimacy, you know? It's like, oh, these aren't just a couple martial artists. Oh shit, it's got CEC, it's with ESSA. Must be pretty good. I better do this.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we want to start building on, to build not just as exactly what you said. We don't want to come across as like some people who don't know what we're doing, because that's the opposite of actually what's happening here. We want to show people, hey, this is research backed. This is scientific, but it's also engaging and fun, and it works. And that's exactly what we're trying to hit with the new kind of program coming through. Do you want to tell them about what you started with them, the Gait and strength and conditioning? So this is interesting, especially because we know a lot of personal trainers will be listening. Hopefully we haven't bored them by now. But do you want to tell them about what you started doing? Because we've had huge success in the past couple of weeks with this, and it's been really incredible. Can I just quickly add before I forget, because I've got a terrible memory, just to talk about the statistics you said about 1 in 100 people at 16. In my community, I'm a part of if you don't live near Bondi or the North Shore, part of a very big South African community, very, very big one. And we all know each other. And, some nights, when we go to dinner, we're like, oh, did you hear about this one's got Parkinson? There's so much gossip. There's a lot of people I hear about it probably more than some of the other communities. Here alone, without even knowing that it was through me, we've got a lot of my family friends that are in the KOPD program. Every couple of weeks or months, I'm hearing about, oh no, I heard this one had Parkinson's. I'm like, well, tell them to come over here and train. So there are, like you said, there's more and more people I'm knowing, and people I know of are getting Parkinson's, and we're really pushing hard to get them in here too. And when they come here, they're like, why didn't I just do this before?
Yeah. Well, I'll piggyback off this for a couple of things. So I think a few things you guys mentioned, number one is the fun side of things, right? I feel like, I know it's not really rehab, but all rehab stuff is just so freaking boring. It's usually I got to go and rehab.
Hey, man.
It's true. It's 100%.
Everybody likes the boxing guy better.
Yeah, you have to go and get these light bands and do 100 repetitions of these boring exercises. No one's going to stick to that. You got to be super motivated to stick to that. But if it's okay, hold on, this stuff's actually fun. People are actually going to do it. They're actually going to come in. They're actually going to get the results. And even if it isn't way better, even if it was hey, here's a standard program and here's the KOPD, and the results will be similar if you stick to both. More people will probably stick to the KOPD program because it's more fun. So I think that's one side of it. And I think the community is huge, because I think if you've got Parkinson's, right, you're going to be and I'm not a big Parkinson's guy, right? But I'm just thinking outside in, if I had Parkinson's and it's all right, hold on, some of my mates are going out to a pub or going out to the restaurant. Oh, what if we park really far away and then I need to walk and I'm going to slow all these guys down? Oh, I don't want to be that guy that slows all these people down, so I'm not going to go to the restaurant, Or, hey, my hands are shaky, I got a tremor, I don't want to go and, go to this restaurant with people that I don't know, and I'm going to have a tremor and people are going to be like, oh, what's wrong with you? You got a tremor. I don't know. Maybe that goes in people's minds. Maybe it doesn't, right?
It does. You're right. And we've had this conversation with people before.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, if that's going on in your mind, that's going to affect your social life. You're not going to go out as much. You're not going to see your friends. You're not going to meet new friends, right? But all of a sudden, if there's a group of all these other people that have Parkinson's, hold on, I might go here. Who cares if I'm a slow walker? Everyone else is a slow walker too, Who cares if I've got everyone else? You know what? Hey, this is okay. I can meet new people and they're not freaking asking me questions or looking at me. So I know community is important in anything, right? But I think especially something like this, it's going to add on even more. So I just want to jump in.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's true. Just that very, very cool example where you park really far away. It's true. People have and the success of and I'm not plugging our gym because you probably wouldn't come here because we're so far away from most people or the traffic's terrible. But the success of our gym is I can. And the second someone says I can't, there might be, we talk about this a lot. And the coaching course we run for KOPD is actually built off parts of our gym here, VT1. And it is all about, like, if one person comes in and they have a grumpy day at work, although most people work from home around here, they have a grumpy day at work, all it takes is them to come in and they partner up on pads with someone who irritates them. They can't hold pads, or they're just like, oh, I've been training 3 years and that guy's trained 2 weeks, which is exactly why we have different level systems here. All it takes, like, nah, you know what, this is just too hard. And they go home and they quit, right? And that means, like, well, I've just kind of given them that I can't. And all it takes is one bad day. I know it is, because I've talked people out of it before. It takes one bad day for them to have a bad experience, and that's it. And so let me just, like, roll off this. So how would I stop at having that I can't mentality? Well, for starters, and most gyms now around Sydney, especially Muay Thai gyms, we're all friends. We all share, like, bits and bobs. And I wouldn't put someone who's had 2 weeks experience, I'm pointing at no one, so I don't know, 2 weeks experience with someone that's had 2 years. I would go, okay, there's a fundamental class. It's for people under 12 weeks. In that class, there's people under 6, so 1 to 6 weeks experience, and 6 to 12. Now, depending on the gym and the size and all that, if it's, you can't have 2 coaches, 1 person each, like, it evolves. Now, the people under 6 weeks, they go together and they're all like, I haven't done this. It's okay. It's normal. The people over 6 weeks who get good quick are like, well, I don't mind working with them, but I want to get better. And then you've got intermediates who won't work with these guys unless they want to come to that class. So now that I can't mentality is gone. Now, I don't know if that confused the hell out of people, but the most important thing is we structured the KOPD program and the way we do things and the way we run classes to I can. And I made that mistake before. We're like, okay, guys, so grab a partner, bang, 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 you grab focus mitts on. I mean, one, for them to even explain to the other person how to hit pads is impossible, because someone can't even talk properly. 2, they have to process how to hold pads. 3, the person on the other side has to understand what the pad holder is saying. So we're not doing that again. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have some young groups. You'd be surprised how young some of our Parkinsons boxers are. But generally speaking, we don't do a lot of, like, he holds pads for him that often, depending on the group, because it gave no, you know what, this is just too hard. Maybe having a bad day. They're like, you know what, this boxing thing's not for me. And that, like you said, with that amazing example you gave with walking, there's already a lot of that I can't. They have Parkinson's, so they can't do a lot of things, or in their head they can't. Okay. Sometimes they get worse real quick. They won't go to a lot of things because they're embarrassed, like you said. And we know we got a lot of friends with Parkinson's, like, or family friends. We talk about this openly. There's a lot of I'm embarrassed, I won't go out. And with those 3 alone, from them staying at home and doing nothing, they're already going to go downhill straight away. I've seen people that stopped training because they got either they couldn't come or they moved far away, and they went downhill real damn quick. So we're lucky to have Adrian, who's actually the founder of KOPD, Adrian Unger. Give him a little bit of a plug in case he watches this, who I've actually known since I was like 3 years old. And he started boxing back in 2000 with us at our gym in a scout hall. He's one of our first members. He looked old back then. So either he was just young and looked old, or he just, anyway. But he doesn't look that much older. And he still comes here every day, does a bit of boxing, whether it's sparring, which is, the guys don't hit him hard, or someone holds pads for him. And he hasn't gone downhill in almost 20 years. He's kind of kept that steady. So the benefits are great. But yeah, it's the real I can't. And the second Adrian starts going, well, I don't know if I can do this anymore, I'm pretty tired. It's like, okay, we've got a problem here. We need to figure out how he can. So that should apply to all PTs, all boxers, and very specifically the KOPD program. It needs to be I can, or you're not going to be able to run this program. And the methods that we use are easy enough for people to give we call them boxers, and we're trainers, so they don't feel like, they're not clients. The boxers, it gives them the confidence to go, I can. So that's really important with this. How did we even get on this topic?
You kind of just took with
it. Was that soccer example? It was that damn soccer example, I'm telling you.
No, but Jono, just like you were saying, mate, like there is like a solidarity within the group. You're absolutely right. Like Parkinson's, to what I've seen day in, day out with these guys, like it's very isolating when you get diagnosed. You feel like you're the only person that might have it in your group of friends. And then suddenly you feel embarrassed because you don't want to go out. Like you're shaking when you're trying to eat. You can't keep up with the group when they're walking. You're 100% correct. We hear these stories all the time.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then suddenly you're staying at home more because you don't want to go out. You're starting to stutter because your speech goes downhill. So you you feel embarrassed, and so you stop talking.
And people start leaning like, what did you say?
Yeah. And so you feel really embarrassed. So you stop talking. And as we all know, as soon as we stop moving, as soon as we stop engaging socially, as soon as we stop talking, everything just goes downhill. And so what I found was the most powerful thing about KOPD was suddenly you're right. You're in this group where everyone has it, where you're in this safe environment where you go, you know what, like Debbie over there has Parkinson's too, and she's worse than me, but she's still going hard.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference for them. And then they push each other.
Yeah.
Suddenly they're not embarrassed to try and practice their speech when they're in class. So one of the big things that I try to do is before every round, I'll yell out, "Boxers, are you ready?" And then they have to yell out at the top of their voice, "Yes, coach." And it's something real. It might seem really insignificant, but for them, they're practicing that projection.
They won't get to do it anywhere else, you know. You do that,
Absolutely.
you're an idiot, you know. But in that space, it's like, okay, I can do it. I can practice it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good point. That's a good point.
and they're working together. They're talking together. And I think one of the coolest stories I've had was I had this guy who, before he came in, he's the dad of a good mate of mine, and he was talking. Well, my mate was talking to me over dinner, and he was just saying, "Look, my dad's got Parkinson's. He's feeling really isolated. He's actually going back into his shell. He's very depressed at the moment. He's not engaging with anyone. He's not going out having fun with his friends." And I said, "Look, check out this program. Worst case scenario, he doesn't like it and he can just stop. But just give it a go because he's not doing anything else anyway." And he came to KOPD, and within a couple of weeks, he'd made friends. And one of the coolest things was one night I get a message from this guy who with Parkinson's, and he's going, "Oh, this other guy in the class has asked me to pass on this message to you," which means that showed me that they were talking, they were messaging, and it turns out they were good mates now, and they were hanging out and they were talking to each other about, "Hey, look, this is what I'm struggling with Parkinson's. How did you get around that?" And then they'd give each other kind of advice and ways to get through things. And it was just this really nice, supportive community that keeps people coming back. And I think that's the most important thing, which is it empowers people and it gives them hope.
Yeah. I mean, off that, this is totally random, but actually really, really important as well. Because I've got a big community. I've got plenty of...
I swear to God, if this is about soccer.
No, this is soccer. There's no soccer. I can't play. I was left back at school. No one wants to be left back. That's like the position no one wanted.
So now we're talking about soccer.
So I was diagnosed with diabetes March 1 this year. Yeah. Type 2, very, very, and I'm pretty fit. It's not like I'm a, big dude, so I don't fit the normal. So I was diagnosed with type 2. It came on very quick. It was very aggressive. I was in hospital, was it last week? The week before I was in hospital for a week. Yeah, lost feeling in my arms and my legs. Still trying to figure out what the hell it is, by the way. The point is, I'm a pretty healthy guy. I haven't drunk Coca-Cola in, I think, a decade or two. Okay, I'm not an unhealthy person. I'm a very healthy person. And that alone, I had to go onto Facebook, and I'm like, I don't even know anyone with diabetes besides I'm meant to be in my family, obviously. I had to go on Facebook, and I joined, the Australian Diabetic Community Forum. I don't know what it is, and people write such rubbish on there too. As like young people, middle age, and you know what? It sounds as silly as it is, like, oh, it's only diabetes. Well, it's changed my life completely. I have to wear a band sometimes because I'm still trying to figure out how to not crash. Or like pass out. I'm still figuring it out. I'm a pretty educated guy, right? So I'm still trying to figure all those things out. But I've become a part of communities. I've joined another local community here, which is like under 40s. I'm 38, by the way, so I'm hitting the 40s mark. I'll go in there for 2 years. I have to get kicked out. I'm 38. So I joined there's an under 40s community group, which are type 2 healthy people, which is for me, it's like, well, I don't want to hang out with people that are like 150 kilogram. They got type 2. I mean, I'm not saying this disrespectfully, but I mean, I'm not 100, I'm 70 kilograms and I'm healthy as hell. So I want to be a part of a community. So I went online, I've joined a local one over here as well, which sounds ridiculous to people, but it's life-changing for me. Yeah. Now, I haven't got the I can't mentality because, I just got to be careful what I eat. It's not the be all and end all, but it has changed a lot of things in my life at a very lower level. So I can only imagine people with Parkinson's that have been diagnosed and there's no cure for it. There's no cure, is it? They still haven't. Michael J. Fox. His organization is brilliant. Michael Jackson, definitely not Parkinson's. Okay, wrong disease. Wrong disease. And I can't imagine what they feel like knowing that they've been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and there's no cure for it whatsoever, and they've got to manage it to their best ability. Okay, so I mean that's from what I'm feeling, they must be on a whole nother level. So yeah, the community is really, really important. Can you go over it just quickly before we plug off? Do you want to go over the gait and strength condition, why you added that? I think I butted in.
Sure. No, that's
just
right.
before that.
Yeah, look, so with those results that we went through before, like the one thing that I saw was that drop in grip strength, which was showing me that their upper body strength was declining to some degree, which is expected. But I thought, you know what, to hell with that. Like, we're going to actually try and address that. So I added in a couple more classes specific to Parkinson's. So one of them was a strength and conditioning class. So I've worked pretty closely with one of the other coaches who is a high performance strength and conditioning coach and an exercise scientist as well. And so we work together to try and develop this program specific for people with Parkinson's, where we run a lot of weightlifting. We do a lot of high intensity circuits that are obviously modified for people with Parkinson's. So one clear example would be we would do burpees, but we do modified burpees off a raised surface as opposed to being on the ground. Yeah. And what we were finding was, I'm sure as your listeners would all know, burpees are terrible and everyone hates them, but they're really good for you in terms of your cardiovascular health and also your general overall body strength. And these guys were finding that even with the modified burpees. I think the one class that I really want to talk about is the balance, gait, and mobility class that we started. And especially with older populations, balance is such a huge issue, and falls. I think it's like 57% of accidental deaths of people over the age of 65 are because they've fallen over. Yeah. Like, it's more than half of accidental deaths for people over 65 are due to falls. It's absolutely insane. And with people with Parkinson's, that goes up by about 300%.
We get emails like at least once a week. Oh, Johnny John, the soccer player has Johnny John has fallen over. He won't be in for the next 2 weeks. Like, it's pretty common.
So with Parkinson's, because it has, with the disease, there's a gait dysfunction. So your walking patterns go off. And so with anyone with a gait dysfunction, it actually increases your chance of falling over by about 300%. And so you're seeing this population of people who are at a very high risk of falling over. And so we started adding in this class to address that directly. And it's evolved into something that's amazing. So
and it's fun as well.
Yeah. So we do a lot of isolated balance work. We teach them how to progress balance. We teach them even protocols of, hey, this is what happens when you fall over, and this is a safe way to get back up off the ground. So it kind of takes away the fear of falling over and educating them on a safe method of getting back up. We work a lot of mobility, so we do a lot of modified kind of stretching, yoga, Pilates kind of stuff. But the one thing that we do is at the end of each class, for the last half hour, we actually finish with games. And one of the ones that we did earlier this week that Dylan was talking about. Are you going to pull up his
balloon game we're just looking on his Facebook?
But one of the ones that we've been doing recently has been literally a game of the floor is lava, and it's a team game where there's a huge obstacle course.
For those that don't know that are under the age of 9, it's a TV show. Okay, it's a TV show, but you can Google it. You know, he likes that stuff.
Yeah, but so I've set up this full obstacle course, and it goes up, down, relies on ropes, and there's all these puzzles everywhere, and it's all about problem solving. So I've given them a couple of things to work with to get through the lava obstacles, and they have to work as a team to get through this obstacle course without anyone falling in the lava. And it takes a lot of problem solving. So we're engaging them cognitively as well now. It's that movement planning. So they have to actually plan what they're going to do to get around certain obstacles. And you're using your balance, you're using your gait, you're using mobility. And I think the most important thing is I stress you either succeed as a team or you fail as a team. So if anyone falls in the lava, we start again. And so the first time we ran this game, they just rushed into it. And someone fell in the lava within 10 seconds. And I said, that's it, everyone back to the beginning. And they did that about 2 or 3 times. And I said, why aren't you guys talking to each other? And so the next time they had this team huddle meeting together, and they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get the shields. We're going to put them here. We need the shields to step over here. We need to get the rope to feed this across here. And suddenly they came up with this plan. And then they started implementing this plan as a team and getting through this course together. And by the end of it, they were all laughing, having a good time, and they felt accomplished as a team because they'd actually finished something as a team that was actually quite hard. Yeah. But at the same time, in the background, they're working on their balance. They're working on their mobility. They're working on their cognition. They're working on their communication skills where they're talking to each other.
And if anyone has any kids under the age of 9 that needs a birthday party run for their 9-year-old birthday party, you got Nate's available on weekends.
Quick question here. I know we're a bit short on time. I just want to get
right.
question and then we'll leave it into it. But off the bat, if you're interested, if you're listening to this and you're interested, just go to the website. I'll just make sure I get it correctly. KOPD.com.au.
Yep, that's correct.
I also understand you guys have got an open day coming up. Are trainers allowed to attend that and just watch some of these classes and see what's going on? Is that something that can be done?
Absolutely. So it's open to anyone. It's free entry. If you're just interested or you know someone with Parkinson's, you don't need to have Parkinson's to attend. You can just show up. We've got a few guest speakers coming in. So I think a senior physiotherapy lecturer who specializes in Parkinson's is doing our main talk. We've got a dietitian coming through.
Speech pathologist coming through.
Me. Yeah.
We're going to talk about soccer and why boxing is better than soccer.
Will there be classes run? A trainer could go and have a look like, okay, that's what these guys do. That's what I'll be.
Yeah, we're going to do a demonstration. Yeah. I mean, in the past, we did a class, but it's like, you got to understand, we don't just throw people in the class. There's a proper process. We've created, and we've changed it constantly over the years to, like, if someone wants to join, for example, a KOPD, we've actually got a process where we run them through a bunch of tests for like 20 minutes. We teach them the basics, and then they can do that week for free if they want. We have a process. If you chuck people straight in, that's exactly why we screen people to become affiliates of KOPD, because you have to have a problem. We've got all that, written down for everyone on the back end. But the thing is, you can't just throw them in. You're going to get a big variety of people, and you're going to make sure which class they're in. So to start off, most people have like one group, then you start getting to level 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s. There are different levels. So it's not complicated. It's just, you can't just throw them in. So for us on the open day, we will have a demonstration, but it will be with people we already know.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a lot of people going, oh, I can't, maybe they're not in the right mind frame. We have to warm them up. So there will be a demonstration. But what you also said is, if you're not sure, if you're interested in going, oh, okay, well, maybe I would like to do KOPD. If you contact us, we don't mind having visitors. We always just need an extra hand on deck. We do have volunteers, and you can come see what we run. And I think when you see it, I'm not going to say it sells itself. When you see it and you know that you're making a difference in people's lives, it's not just, oh, we're teaching people how to get fit. You're seriously saving lives here, literally. Yeah. So you're welcome. Just contact us. I'm sure we can include you in one of the class plans for fun.
Yeah, well, if
everyone throw the bowling balls at him.
If you just contact so if you go on the website, there's a section where you can get in contact with us directly. So I've actually had people contact me, like different trainers from all over Sydney, contact me.
Contract you. Is that for Flora's Lava?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
Gotcha.
No, they've contacted me about, I don't know what your course is. We don't have an existing course right now, which is what we're developing, but they want to check it out anyway. And so I just say, look, here's my number. These are the class times. You just drop me a text and you can come and just watch what we do for a class. So you can see what this is all about and how it all works. And so if any of your trainers are actually pretty keen to do that, just go onto the website, let me know, and we can organize
I think probably the easiest also, because I know everyone sits on social media these days, is to get onto our Facebook or Instagram, which is
I've seen videos. I don't know where I saw it. I think it was a Sunrise one.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Yeah. That
was wicked. We had the Governor General come in for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's lovely. Yeah, we're very lucky with that. It was a lot of fun. So, but you can see that video, and then probably easiest besides checking our website is just keep an eye on the social media with the courses coming up, the open day. You're welcome, come to and contact us if you want to come check out the program. Just we're in Chatswood. We're not too far.
Just pop your head in. It's perfectly fine.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, I got to run. But is there anything, you got 1 minute, anything you want to finish this up with?
I just want to know where you get that background from, that cafe background.
I own this cafe. What do you mean?
I was wondering, I'm like, why is there no one in there? How do we get that virtual background?
It's a fake background, yeah. I've even got I've got a fake worker back there.
I actually legitimately thought you were just seeing a cafe that was closed.
And she had,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you actually, it was a picture. Okay.
really,
Yeah, that girl, you should probably check on that girl behind you, man. Doesn't look healthy. She's frozen.
No, thank you so much, Jono. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate it, what you're doing, and
no, I appreciate what you're doing, and we love what we do. This is kind of, we do this professionally, but we do it more as like a part of our other jobs, because it's such a, I mean, giving back to community and seeing the end result and knowing that we can help slow that down at the very least for many, many, many years is very satisfying. And it's fun as well. You can be pretty cheeky with these guys.
Oh yeah,
and girls.
Yeah, it's really rewarding. So I mean, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
So
guys,
last thing, if anyone's floor is lava, kids parties, this is the guy.
Like apparently.
So you know,
guys, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to run, but we'll be in touch. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a good day.